Good evening, everyone.
Welcome to Weekend Update. I'm Evan Kennedy.
And I'm Liam Horn-Portlands.
This week has been a rocky one for the Trump presidency, which, at this point, only 145 days in, is anything but surprising. Several major issues have arisen just this week, and all indicate that, while Trump isn't done just yet, Vice President Mike Pence is taking his warm-up swings. Our first issue tonight involves the Muslim travel ban. Last week, President for now Trump returned from the first international trip of his presidency, where he visited Israel, Saudi Arabia, and the Middle East. He then went on to visit the Vatican, where Pope Francis just couldn't contain his excitement to meet the president. From there, Trump traveled to the NATO summit at the new headquarters in Brussels, and finally to the G7 summit in Italy, where he explained to the leaders of the free world how first-grade math works.
That's right. Upon returning to the States, President Trump submitted to the Justice Department the newest version of his Muslim travel ban for review, following which the DOJ submitted a quote-unquote watered-down, politically correct version to the Supreme Court. Who would have thought? Political correctness. What if oh wait, this is President Trump we're talking about here, so not exactly the bigliest thing on his agenda.
Now, here's where you open it up for discussion.
Here joining us tonight, we have voices from both sides of the aisle. First, I'd like to introduce Breitbart correspondent Nicholas Hess.
Happy to be here.
And next, it is my pleasure to introduce freelance journalist Ben Ockert.
It's a pleasure.
Let's start with you, Mr. Ockert. What is your position on the president's new travel ban?
So here's my position. America was founded on the basis that our country is a melting pot of religions, races, and cultures. Thus, it would follow that it is unconstitutional for any one person, by his own authority, to block entry of one demographic. And that is what we're dealing with here. Like even the president said, a travel ban, quote unquote. Despite what his representatives may assert, it is a block on immigration intended to keep Muslims out of the country. Based on nothing at all. It is completely unfounded and illegal.
So you're obviously a big fan of Mr. Trump.
You could put it like that.
Well, I think we've heard enough from Mr. Ockert. Now, on to one wearing the Reagan Bush shirt. Wonder what he's going to think. Mr. Hess, same question to you. How do you feel about President Trump's proposed travel ban?
I would first like to point out that President Trump is doing a fantastic job, and his travel ban shows just that. Why would a country allow immigration from countries that they know contain terrorists? Is it the responsibility of the United States to risk its own safety and prosperity by allowing criminals and terrorists into its country? This travel ban is protecting us and our children.
Just as long as you're not Muslim children. Fantastic point, Mr. Hess.
Put it how you want. Illegal immigration is not nearly as damaging as legal immigration. Legal immigration, they're here to stay. Their children are here and so on. Thus, it is my opinion totally fair and beneficial for President Trump to say, hey, we've had enough immigration in the past. We've seen how that worked. It's all done and caused division. But in order to become one people again, we need to take a break. And we need to preference people that are going to fit in. European immigrants.
That's just completely un-American. See, it's these people of the alt-right. It's these kind of people who fuel the hate and the disgusting racism that we've seen in this country since before its foundation. This kind of thinking is exactly that which causes divisiveness, and it's exactly that which we must strive to avoid. We should not and cannot foster the values of those who believe in a white ethno-state. We must leave our borders open. We must leave our minds and hearts clear of the thoughts that lead to the desire to close our borders. We must let people come into the country like we have in the past. We cannot allow ourselves to live in fear of a potential terrorist attack. We must trust that our international and domestic agencies are doing everything they can possibly do to keep us safe. And that will work just as it has.
As many of you know, earlier this week, President Trump made the decision to withdraw the United States from the Paris Climate Accords. In doing this, it seems that the president has angered even those he was trying to help. Numerous business executives, including those of Tesla, Disney, General Electric, Facebook, Google, Twitter, Goldman Sachs, even Shell, showed their disappointment in the decision. Everyone, that is, except, and you guessed it, President Putin, of course, who went on to praise his President Trump, saying, quote, "We should be grateful to President Trump. In Moscow, it's rainy and cold." I mean, it's as if he's doing everything except tweeting, "I did it. We colluded with Russia." At one point, President Trump even said, "I was elected to represent the citizens of Pittsburgh. To quote Ham, "You're killing me, Smalls."
Mr. Hess, let's start with you this time. What are your thoughts on both the president's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Agreements and, by extension, his ideas about climate change as a whole?
First of all, climate change is completely a hoax. Since Earth's beginning, temperatures have risen and fallen. Global warming was created by the liberals and globalists to hurt our economy. Finally, President Trump is putting America first.
So you are denying climate change as a whole against countless scientific studies and the backing from a man with only the highest of ethos. Bill Nye, the science guy.
Climate change is a hoax made up by the Chinese to limit our economic output. We are the dominant species on Earth, and we have the God-given right to use Earth to its fullest potential. So what I say to all you conservationists and leftists, drill baby drill.
Okay then, Mr. Ockert, what do you have to say to that?
Let me just start with this. Okay, climate change, contrary to what our administration and our constituents may say, is real, dangerous, and prevalent. Trump's withdrawal from the Paris Climate Accords only goes to demonstrate the dangerous, completely foolish, and utterly ignorant approach that this administration is taking towards climate change. Their denial, despite what everyone in the scientific community has said, is completely unacceptable, okay? And it represents a clear disregard for the Earth and the people, plants, and animals who inhabit it. That decision was completely, as the presidents would say, wrong.
You know, I have to agree with the scientists on this one. It's as if our president just said, "You're fired" to the Earth. Even the way he announced it, it seemed like he just eliminated someone off The Bachelorette.
The United States will withdraw from the Paris Climate Accord Thank you.
The Earth is not dying and is not getting hotter. A week ago, it was 50 degrees outside in June. It's common sense that some days and years are going to be hotter than others.
Let's move on to our third and final topic, President Trump's tax initiative. Among other things, the plan would lower the total number of income tax brackets from the current 7 to 3, cut corporate taxes by 23%, as well as provide tax breaks for the wealthy and raise the national debt by $11.6 trillion. The plan, which would take less time to read through than this night's segment, also eliminates the estate tax, the alternative minimum tax, investment taxes, and lowers the top rate for top earners. The principal beneficiaries of these changes are, of course, America's elite. Trump said that he wants to give back to the country he loves. Now people are like, there's always that other way to give back to your country. Pay your taxes.
Mr. Ockert, we'll come to you first. What is your stand on President Trump's proposed tax initiative?
All right, first things first. President Trump's, as you put it, proposed tax initiative is, until acted by Congress, nothing more than just that, a proposed initiative, and that's just it. Even members of Trump's own party are turning against him. They recognize that the president is A, illegitimate, and B, a complete failure, even outside of the Russia scandal. We know that the members of the House and Senate are independent enough from the executive branch to make their own decisions about these things, okay? Democracy at its finest.
You make a good point. When a toddler is at the helm of a sinking ship, maybe it's a good idea for the crew to not listen to his orders.
What I advocate for is a steeply graduated income tax and a maximum income of no more than 10 times the minimum. I oppose regressive taxes such as payroll tax, sales tax, and property taxes. And as an extension, I support the minimum wage of at least $15 per hour, as well as a livable annual minimum income. These things, I believe, among others, would actually help make America great again.
I can make a socialism joke here, but they aren't really funny unless everyone gets them. So I'll turn to you, Mr. Hess.
What this country needs is less complicated taxes. It's plain and simple. Trump's economic plan is the first step towards this. Trump is funding pointless social welfare programs such as food stamps. What people in poverty need to do is work for their money and not rely on the money from working Americans. Why should I give my hard-working, hard-earned money to those who don't want to work?
All right, gentlemen, we thank you for your time tonight. Your insights have helped show us how utterly screwed this country is. Oh boy, from Weekend Update, I'm Evan Kennedy.
And I'm Liam Horn Portlands. Good night.
Good evening, everyone.
That's my line.
What? No, it's not.
He says, welcome to Weekend Update, I'm Evan Kennedy. I say, good evening, everyone. He says, welcome to Weekend Update, I'm Evan Kennedy. I say, and I'm Liam Horn.
All right.
Boy.
I'm good. I'll take a strawberry, actually.
And it's exactly that which we need to avoid. We should not and cannot. Oh, who is FaceTiming me?
Then this night's segment also eliminates the estate tax, the alternative minimum tax, investment taxes, and lowers the top rate for top earners. The principal beneficiaries of these changes are, of course, America's elite. Trump said that he wants to give back to the country he loves. Now people are like, there's always that other way to give back to your country. Pay your taxes.
Now, here's where we open it up for discussion.
Here joining us tonight, we have voices from both sides of the aisle. First, I'd like to introduce Breitbart correspondent Nicholas Hess.
Happy to be here.
Next, it is my pleasure to introduce freelance journalist Ben Ockert.
Pleasure. Amateur hour! Oh, Lord! All right, so Nick's going to talk about taxes, right? And
Yeah, I
then
think so.
we're going to...
Then it's the outro, right?
yeah.
Do it live! I'll write it and we'll do it live!